You see what's going on at Chelsea?
I've seen that they're proper Chelsea. Chelsea. Proper Chelsea were up unhappy with Todd Bowley at the weekend, weren't they?
Don't you find? Listen, that's the one. So one of the only chants in football that winds me up. Because whenever I hear it, I just hear it's just there's nothing to it. I don't get it. Anyway, I know Chelsea fans hate me for saying this.
Yeah, we're going to rattle proper Chelsea.
Well, Todd Bowley's giving team talks. He's giving team talks.
Mate, that guy, right? And I watched Matisse last night saying this, and he was absolutely spot on what he said. He just needs to stay away from the football club. Like, you've got your people in there now. Yeah, move, get out of the way. Yeah, like how many times in 19 years that Abramovich was there did we actually hear from Abramovich? Like walking down the street with sky cameras following him, or like, you know, actually doing sit-down interviews or going in the dressing room. Every now and again, he'd go in the boozers and put a tab behind the bar and say free drinks for everyone. But you never used to see him on camera very often. You never used to hear from him speaking very often. Like, you know, sometimes we'll get, David Ornstein or someone sit down with the Cronkies, like Josh Kroenke especially. Yeah, but that happens like once every 2 or 3 years. But there's this obsession with an owner being at the game. Like when it was Kroenke out, which is funny because now it's FSG out of Liverpool. Like it was Glazers out. The only thing I'll say about Man United, by the way, very quickly, is even when you're winning, you want the Glazers out. When our team are winning, nobody mentions the Cronkies. When Liverpool were winning, nobody mentioned FSG. Now all of a sudden, Liverpool ain't winning. Now it's FSG are the problem. Well, you should have been doing that when you were picking up Champions Leagues and leagues. But with Chelsea, Todd Bowley's done pretty much what I'd say most football fans would like to happen. He's come in, he's splashed loads of money, he's bought loads of players, yeah, and you're thinking, okay, cool, this is a new era. The problem that he has is he's getting way too involved. Like, he's not putting the people in the right positions at the right time. I think he was director of football at one point, wasn't he? And then he resigned from that role. Then he's going out and walking down the street, giving it 3-0 away to Madrid. I mean, he's just making himself look an idiot. He's sitting in Twitter spaces. And when you start listening to fans online, on Twitter, especially of all platforms, right, and listening to what they're saying, and you then go and do what they're saying en masse, that's a recipe for disaster, mate. And when you look at it, real talk, right, they have, I think it was you that said this, they have got the lowest wins in the Premier League since, I think it was October or something, or November, something like that. I think since Tuchel's left, they've got the lowest wins in the Premier League, or the lowest points in the Premier League since, something like that, you said. But yeah, the problem they have is he's too invested in it, mate. Like, and you've got Lampard coming out making excuses up, saying, "Oh, I haven't had time to get on the training ground." You know, like we got Champions League. Mate, you're getting paid to manage that team out of the oblivion they've been put in. Yeah, so shut up. He's saying that he's just, I've only had time to sit down with one-on-one meetings. Okay, so what are all the coaches doing then? Like, why aren't you out there getting the team galvanised? You know, as much as we've all dissed Ole Gunnar Solskjaer over the years, the one thing he did was get all of them grouped together and actually pull some results out of the bag. 20-odd games away from home without a defeat. What's he going to do? Terry, he has won 1 out of his last 17 games as a manager, Lampard.
Mate, the Lampard thing, right? I don't even know how to. When he came in, and I saw certain Chelsea fans be like, "I'm happy." As soon as I heard the words, he'll galvanize this team. You man are indoctrinated by the proper Chelsea syndrome, I think we've got to call it. How is the man who lost the dressing room, where half that dressing room is still here, going to come in and pick up the pieces of a and people think I'm bantering when I say it. Sam Allardyce would be doing a better job right now. You wouldn't be playing pretty football, but he would get these players running through brick walls, organized defensively, and you'd win and they would win some games. It's crazy. That thing about October. It says here, list of Premier League teams who have won fewer games than Chelsea since October 16th. And then there's no one on the list. So since according to that's according to Dan's story. So I'm just going to check that's actually true here. So from October 16th until now, it's not quite. Everton and Southampton have won 4. They've won 5. But that's the point. Like only Southampton and Everton have won less games than Chelsea. But Chelsea, Chelsea have played 2 more games than those teams. Like Chelsea are literally They are in relegation. If there was 5 games remaining this season, Chelsea would go down because do you know what it is? A lot of the players that are in the relegation battle at the Southamptons, Leeds, Bournemouth,
they're used to it.
They're used to it or they expected it. These Chelsea players, they don't know what to do in this.
Overrated prima donnas, mate. That's what they are. Overrated prima donnas.
This is what happened. An example I'll give it is this, right? I grew up really poor. So if the worst thing in the world happened and I lost money and had to go back to a very low paid job to begin with and work my way up, it would hurt, but I could handle that situation because I've been there before. If somebody's born with a silver spoon in their mouth, like most of these players come through at big clubs, play at big clubs, they used to be near the top of the league in the Champions League. Suddenly, if you pull the rug from under their feet and they're broke, there's no one to give. So, oh, look, I'll give you $100,000 a year job in this bank, or you can go work for Uncle Johnny's law firm for $120,000 a year. If you've suddenly got to go, right, I've got to go and make some burgers at McDonald's and live in a horrible bedsit for the next 6 months until I get some money, those rich toffs won't cope. And that's what that's what could happen. If there was more games left, this Chelsea team would go down. Bringing Lampard back, it's not about attacking Lampard. It's about going, Todd Bowley made that decision. And I look at tonight's game against Real Madrid. I know that they're 2-0 down. Is it 2-0? It's 2-0. Chelsea Football Club should always have an element of confidence or hope that in tonight's game, they can turn it round. This is how you know your club is dead, when you're not even looking forward to matches and when you believe there is no hope of winning, because I was there last year. Every game we had from about October onwards, I had zero, barring Spurs, by the way, and we did beat them, no hope that we'd win those football matches. They're just in an absolute mess, and Chelsea fans are burying their heads right now. They're acting like, oh, it's okay. The media said we've got a really good process going on to find a new manager. And maybe
they've all written
maybe
off the season.
You do, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
They've all written off the season, right? And I said this to, I think I said this to Saeed the other day. Like when they're sitting there, when there was like January window had come and they bought all these players and Potter's not getting any results and this and that, and everyone's looking at him going, mate, you've done 600 mil since the summer. You have to get in that top 4. Like, and all the Chelsea fans go, no, let's just write the season off and blah, blah, blah. Aston Villa were below them in the league. They're now 11 points ahead of them. Right? So that turnaround from Aston Villa, why can't that happen at Chelsea? Why? Because they didn't have a manager in there that was being backed in terms of they gave him a load of players, but how many of them players did he want? Did they actually let him do what he wanted? Is it in contracts that certain players have to play? I mean, Mudrik's hardly played in certain games, and then he plays in. It's like then you've got Mason Mount sitting on the bench, then he's playing again. It's a mess, right? And for me, where their biggest problem is, Todd Bowley's way too invested. Like he just needs to go to games by all means. You own the football club, yeah, cool, right? But don't go in the dressing room and undermine the manager, yeah, because all that shows to players is, well, whatever. Didn't he have a go at one of the players? He called one of the players out or something. Well,
essentially, what he said is he's basically said to the players, he asked them, "Why are you underperforming?"
Is he for real? Like real talk? Is he actually high? Right, but he shouldn't even be in that dressing room. If that was Jose Mourinho as manager and he walked in there, Jose would kick him out. Like a top manager would say, "Get out of here. Nothing's to do with you, mate. You do what you're doing. Yeah, I'm doing what I'm doing. And when it don't go right, you'll sack me anyway." Right. But the problem they have is if they think that that's going to change going into next season, they're deluded, mate. Right, because they've got about 30 odd players on the books, and half of them shouldn't be there. They're not good enough, or they've gone past their sell-by date. Like, and they've got Lampard in there that apparently is not going to be there next season. So let's say he stays until the end of the season, which he should do. Then he leaves at the end of May, beginning of June. Right, I think his contract to be until 30th of June. That's what most contracts end, right? For managers and players, it goes into another year after that. Yeah. Let's say he leaves by the 30th of June. Well, the season starts in August. You've now got to get a manager in that's long term, that is then going to be going on pre-season with this squad and trying to get players out and players in and get his philosophy on that team all inside an 8-week period. That ain't happening. And if they start poorly, mate, next season, yeah, just put a bet on them getting relegated. And that's not even taking the mick, because for me, yeah, they have been the best team in this country for the last 2 decades. Yeah, the mentality, the elite level, like the mindset of the players, the ownership, but that ain't there anymore. As soon as Abramovich went, This guy's come in and it's almost like he hasn't got a clue what he's doing. He thinks he can do it all himself, right? And he's then getting way too involved in stuff that he ain't got a clue about. It's like you get into computer science or something, or I don't know, like you're a scientist, I don't know, whatever, right? But you buy a company and then you want to go in and do all the testing and all of it. You ain't gonna have a clue what you're doing.
Well, no, this is the thing, right? If I bought a restaurant tomorrow, I would have no idea how to run it, and I'd have absolutely no idea how to cook the food. So what you do is you go and hire a top chef. Some chefs can run and manage bars and restaurants. Some don't. But let's just say you get a brilliant chef that does your menu, and then you get a top quality restaurant manager. I tell them what I want the outcomes to be. They tell me how to do it. If I suddenly start telling them they're wrong and controlling their jobs and stopping them from doing what they know is right, it's going to fail. And that's what he's doing there. He's got it wrong in every single which way. Look, this next managerial appointment for Chelsea, said it on the Top 6 show yesterday, is so important. If they get it wrong and they crumble again like they have this season, they may not get it right for many, many years after that. How do I know? Man United did the same thing. This is how you know that even with bad owners, you can still be successful to a point. When the Glazers came in at Man United between 2004 and 2013, Brian Gill and Fergie ran the club. The only thing they were losing control of is how much money they could spend because they don't control that element of it. As soon as the Glazers started running the club from 2013 until now, no title winning season, no title challenging season, been awful in the Champions League. How you're run, and I keep saying this to football fans, it's more important than your players. It's more important than your manager. It's more important than tactics and system. The way you're run as a football club should be your number one priority as a fan base. We've got some super chats here I want to do. The first one says, to me, it implies cowardice and giving up. Simples is okay. So it's about, we'll come back to that later. It's about Arsenal. Sorry. Bowley playing football manager in real life.
He is. And listen, the one thing I will say here is you want an owner to come in, or most fans, because most fans couldn't care less about morals and all of this. It's about winning, right? You want an owner to come in and start flashing his cash. Like, I'd love Qataris or Saudis to own Arsenal, mate. Yeah. I'd love that because number one, it gets rid of the loser mentality that's rife in our club and our fan base, right? And number two, it means that we'll be throwing money everywhere, which means we can attract the very best players. So you want that. The problem they've got is they're doing that with people that ain't got a clue how to run a club into elite level status. Roman Abramovich was super smart when he came in there because he went and got one of the best managers around at the time, Jose, just won a Champions League, see something in him, was like, yo, I'm getting him. He's cocky, he's arrogant, he epitomized it, and I'm going to back him. But they had Marina doing all the work behind the scenes. And other people, obviously. So he had that filter there. Yeah, whereas now he's been doing the negotiation. Him and Egbali have been flying out to get players in. Like, come on, it's a mess.
Mate, I completely hear you.